I am 80 years old. I am sitting in a large, very quiet house. On the walls are certificates, trophies, photographs of me at meetings, award ceremonies, moments that other people call the peak of a career. Everything's here. There is only one thing missing me. All my life I did everything society asked of me. I studied properly. I worked hard. I climbed each rung of the career ladder. Every time I reached a new title, I was congratulated, respected, asked, "What do you do?" And I believed that was meaning. I believed I was living the right way. I had a career, I had status, I had everything people call success. But no one ever asked me a very simple question: did this mean anything to me? And I never asked myself either. Then the work ended. The titles disappeared. The meeting calendar went blank. And in that moment I realized something that frightened me more than any failure. I did not know who I was outside of my work. No role, no title, no answer when no one asked what I did. It is strange. My whole life I was praised as a successful man. But when everything stopped, I felt like someone who had just stepped out of a role he had played for decades and forgotten where his real self was. There are things that look exactly like success, very convincing, highly rewarded, but in truth, they are just roles you play for so long that you start to believe they are you. And if tomorrow you no longer had a job, no title to introduce yourself with, think about it. What would you have left? When I was young, I never thought I was on the wrong path. Honestly, everything looked right then. I went to work early and came home late. I took on extra responsibility when others refused. I said I'll do it more often than I'll rest. And every time I was recognized, I was praised as hardworking, ambitious, reliable. Each new position I reached felt like clear proof that I was becoming a more valuable person. When someone asked who I was, I answered with my job. And that answer always made people nod. Gradually, I nodded to myself as well. I believed I was what I did. I believed that if I kept moving up, kept striving, kept achieving more, everything else would come on its own time for myself. A sense of enough, a feeling of stability. I told myself that being busy now was normal, that when my career was more secure, I would slow down. When I reached a higher position, I would live differently. I thought I was building a life with a solid foundation. And from the outside, everyone thought so too. My family was proud, my colleagues respected me, society rewarded me with recognition. There was no reason to doubt that path. Work gradually became the answer to everything. It explained why I was tired, why I was absent, why I had no time, and why I mattered. I did not realize that every time I chose work, I was not just choosing a task. I was choosing a way to define myself. I thought I was building a life, but in reality, I was only building a title. And I did not realize when I began to drift off course. Then everything repeated itself day after day, week after week. Every morning revolved around work. Every conversation circled back to roles, projects, interests. Relationships gradually took the shape of work as well. Who was useful, who was necessary, who was at my level, who was below. I became accustomed to being seen through the role I was playing, and I became accustomed to playing that role well. When feelings of exhaustion or emptiness appeared, I reassured myself that everyone felt that way, that men at my age were supposed to live like this, that this was the price of success. I never stopped to ask whether there was anything I still liked outside of work. I could not remember the last time I did something simply because I wanted to, not because it served some role. And then the day came when everything ended. No meetings, no emails, no title to introduce myself with. I stepped out of that machinery thinking I would feel relief, but the first thing I felt was not freedom. It was emptiness, a very large emptiness. I did not know how to begin my days. I did not know what I liked. I did not know who I was when there was no job standing in front of my name. The house was the same. The achievements were still there. But I was lost, like someone stepping off a stage after performing for so long that he had forgotten who he was once the lights went out. I did not lose myself in a single day. I lost myself year by year while being called successful. After everything stopped, I finally had enough silence to look directly at what I had avoided for so many years. The first thing I realized was that my career itself was not wrong. I do not regret working hard, striving, building things that others call admirable. The problem was not the work. The problem was that I let it answer the question of who I was for me. For a very long time, each achievement gave me a quick sense of pride, a ceremony, a round of applause, a handshake. And then it passed. I needed another goal, another position, another number. That feeling was always short, but the emptiness afterward lingered. I did not see this while I was busy. Only when there was nothing left to chase did I clearly see what I had neglected. I did not know who I was outside of my work. I could not remember the last time I did something simply because I liked it, not because it was useful for my career. I could list everything I had achieved in detail, yet I hesitated when asked who I truly was as a person. And the most painful part was not that I failed, but that I did everything I was taught to do and still lost my way. No one ever told me I was living wrong. No one warned me that letting work consume my entire identity would come at such a cost. On the contrary, society constantly confirmed that I was doing the right thing. I was taught how to build a career, how to climb upward, how not to fall behind. But no one taught me how to hold on to myself along the way. No one said that if you are not careful one day you will wake up and realize you are nothing but the role you once played. I began to understand that success is a poor goal if you use it to replace meaning. It keeps you busy, earns you recognition, but does not help you understand yourself. The farther I went, the less I stayed with myself. I passed up quiet afternoons, spent just sitting still conversations that served no purpose, interests that produced no tangible benefit. I thought those things were luxurious things to be saved for later. But when later arrived, I did not know where to begin. When the titles were gone and the packed schedules disappeared, I had to face a very simple and very difficult truth. I had lived as someone else for far too long, and I had grown so accustomed to it that I forgot what it felt like to live authentically. I began to relearn very small things, listening to what I actually liked, not what seemed proper, but what felt comfortable when I was alone. I come to understand that the self is not a title, not the achievements hanging on the wall, not a neat answer when someone asks what you do. The self is the feeling of living without needing to prove anything, of being fully present in the moment you are in, even when it creates no measurable value. Sitting in a house full of certificates and career memories, everything began to shrink. No more numbers, no more positions, Just an 80-year-old man slowly, for the first time, relearning what seems like the simplest question of all, who am I? Now I no longer have much time for roundabout words. I am 80 years old and I see clearly something I should have seen much earlier. I lived for a very long time without asking the most important question, not what I achieved, but who I became. I am not here to tell you not to pursue a career. I am not saying success is wrong. I only know that one day everything you rely on to define yourself will disappear. The work will end. The titles will no longer be asked about, and when that happens, you will be left only with yourself. I wish someone had asked me this when I was younger. If tomorrow you no longer had your job, what would remain? How would you introduce yourself without a title before your name? Are you building a career or slowly losing yourself in the process? I have no certain advice. I only have one truth from someone who has walked that entire path. It is very easy to live a life praised as right without ever asking whether it is right for you. Very easy to stay busy your whole life and call it meaning until you stop and realize you were never truly there. If this story makes you uncomfortable, it may be because it touches something familiar. If you know someone who is always defined by their work, share this with them. And if you won't leave one line in answer to yourself, not to me, without a title, who do you want to be?